Land, sea, or air. Animals have adapted to survive and thrive in habitats across these environments, and so have our pets. When keeping reptiles and amphibians, one of the key questions we all face is where to keep them. What tank do they need, an aquarium or a terrarium? That's what today's video is all about. What are they? What's the difference? And what happens when you combine them? I'm Xavier, and welcome to the wild. To start things off, gently tap that like and subscribe button and let's get to it. When you're looking to purchase just a tank, there's really no difference between a terrarium or an aquarium. A tank is basically just a glass box made of 5 pieces of glass. Thickness and durability will vary based on size, but that's about it. Now, typically, the tanks advertised as terrariums tend to be made with all plate glass to ensure it can be drilled, whereas advertised aquariums utilize at least some tempered glass, in my experience, usually for the tank bottom. Depending on where or even if you might drill a tank, this may be entirely irrelevant to you. On average, most of us don't have the ginormous tanks where durability is a main concern. To keep focus for the video, I'll be referring to tank sizes in the 10 to 40 gallon range in general. Without getting super granular, the terms aquarium and terrarium aren't really an official term for the glass tank, but classifications that define the interior meant to house an animal. In addition to these types of enclosures, I'll also cover paludariums and ripariums, which are combination enclosures with their own distinct features and suitability. Jumping right in, we'll start with the overarching term, vivarium. This is an enclosure, container, or structure adapted or prepared for keeping animals under semi-natural conditions for observation or study, or as pets. Basically, anything you want to keep your animal in is a vivarium. If you keep fish in tanks filled to the top with water, that aquarium is a vivarium. If you keep only desert animals like leopard geckos or a bearded dragon, that terrarium is also a vivarium. It simply means you keep something living in it. Box checked, so every other type of enclosure we'll be covering, all of them are vivariums. Now, if your vivarium is aquatic, that's what we call an aquarium, a transparent tank of water in which fish and other aquatic creatures and plants are kept. This one's pretty self-explanatory. Any animals you have or plan to keep that live in the water will require an aquarium. Fish, shrimp, African clawed frogs, tadpoles, larval salamanders and newts, axolotls, these are all kept in aquariums. If you're looking to mimic a pond, the Amazon, or even a coral reef, you're looking at an aquarium. Next up, a term some of you may not be familiar with already, a riparium. This is a type of planted aquarium that mimics a natural riverbank or shoreline, focusing on plants that grow partially submerged with roots in the water and foliage above, often using floating rafts or hanging planters to create a natural, low-maintenance ecosystem for fish and aquatic life. Crucially, there's no fixed land mass, and instead emergent, marginal habitat helps to filter water and provide shelter for any inhabitants. Essentially, where an aquarium might mimic a pond, a riparium would mimic the edges or shoreline, right where the water meets land, but so close that there's no real land to stand on, and there's just plants growing out of the water and maybe a few branches that have fallen in. Because this environment still strongly focuses on the aquatic portion, you can essentially still use it as an aquarium for keeping the previously listed animals, though the land portion now expands what you're able to keep. Amphibians, for instance, can be a good option, depending on the species. Those that are primarily aquatic but still need or utilize land, like newts and frogs, can be kept comfortably in a riparium, just like how I keep my eastern newts. Moving out from the water a bit more, we come to a paludarium. This is a unique enclosed habitat that mimics a natural wetland, combining both land and water, like a swamp, riverbank, or rainforest floor within a single tank. Basically, it's an aquarium and terrarium combined. This allows you to house animals that thrive in amphibious or semi-aquatic conditions, just like a riparium, but the greater land area allows dedicated space for terrestrial plants and animals, as well as deeper water areas for fully aquatic life. In a paludarium, the goal is to create a self-sustaining mini ecosystem, with the multiple environmental niches further expanding the range of animals you can house, including frogs, newts, fish, crustaceans, lizards, snakes, and turtles. In my opinion, these are typically the most visually appealing. If you've ever been to a zoo or pet store specializing in reptiles and thought that you wanted to make your own tank that looks just that good, you're probably picturing a paludarium. And finally, rounding out the list, last but not least, a terrarium. For most of you, this goes without saying, but a terrarium is an enclosure for keeping or raising land animals and plants. Any animal that strictly or primarily lives on land would require a terrarium. There's generally no dedicated water feature, and if so, you'd expect one that might provide a source of drinking water for the inhabitants, or perhaps a misting feature to keep plants watered. There's a fairly wide range of possible terrariums, ranging from dry, desert-like conditions for, say, leopard geckos, to tropical forest floor-like environments for dart frogs. Now, putting together our mental visual from throughout this video, let's just say you go hiking and there's a pond surrounded by a field or maybe a pond in the middle of the forest. An aquarium would mimic the pond itself, a riparium would expand to the pond's edge, a paludarium would further expand out to include both the water and some of the surrounding land, and the terrarium would be just that land. And each one of these enclosures would also be correctly known as a vivarium. And there we have it, an overview of the enclosure types you might encounter or one day build for yourselves. As always, do your research so you know which enclosure type is best for your animal. Notably, some animals may require more than one enclosure type throughout their lives. Depending on the species, many amphibians metamorphose from fully aquatic larvae to semi-aquatic or even fully terrestrial adults. Most garter snake species are classified as semi-aquatic, but also regularly inhabit largely terrestrial habitats in their native range. In the end, you want the home for your pet to be the best fit for them, just as your home should be the best fit for you. But that does it for this video. Again, please like and subscribe, let me know what you think, tell me about all your builds and which enclosure type is your favorite. Also, at the start of this video, I said land, air, and sea. We're not doing air. That would be an aviary, which is for birds, which I don't do on this channel. Or you have such a large space that you can comfortably house flying frogs, flying lizards, or flying snakes. 1, the vast majority of us could only dream of being so lucky. And 2, to any parents watching this video who didn't know, yes, there are flying frogs, lizards, and snakes. Those are all real. No, they don't technically fly, they just glide, and sorry for the nightmares. Till next time, keep learning, keep growing, and find your X Factor.